Hello, Galion Tiger fans. I am Kyle Baughn, your high school athletic director, and I am joined by communications liaison Chris Stone. We have invited everyone here tonight to help answer questions about the upcoming spring extracurricular seasons. In particular, information for tickets, fan attendance, athletic eligibility, and safety precautions this year. Please send in any questions you have through the chat box during tonight's presentation. I will do my best to answer everything that comes up. Athletics are a part of the extracurricular educational process of Galion City Schools, serving as an arena for learning. We strive to have each student athlete enjoy a positive experience while developing competitive teams. Within this framework, the participation of all student athletes is encouraged without compromising that competitive nature. Athletes will learn to appreciate teamwork and how to deal with coaches, referees, opponents, peers, and themselves. Interscholastic athletics are an extension of the classroom that provide teaching and learning experiences for all involved. These experiences and lessons relate as much to life and education as they do to the outcome on the scoreboard. Our mission is to foster the quest for excellence by creating an educational and competitive experience within an atmosphere of sportsmanship. Galion Athletics develop individual and team potential by prompting high standards of competence, character, civility, and citizenship. The first question we have so far tonight: are there any attendance restrictions this year? Great news, we are not being restricted for spring attendance, so tennis, baseball, softball, and track events can be attended by everyone. I would like to point out that most tennis, baseball, and softball events are free, but most track events are not. We charge $5 per person at our home track meets, and the away meets that varies between $5 and $10 most of the time. As we enter the postseason, all Ohio high school tournaments charge admission. Those state tickets are sold online only at ohsaa.org. So you have to go to the state website to get state tickets for all state tournaments. Do we have to wear masks? Masks are optional during extracurricular events. And as of Friday, this now also includes athletes traveling on the buses. COVID-19 still hasn't went away, so please be symptom-free before coming to any of our events and stay home if you are sick. Continue to spread out as much as possible and wash your hands. As we did last year, please understand that mandates may change and we may have to adjust. Do students have to be eligible to play? We did return back to normal OHSAA rules at the end of the first grading period. Athletes must pass a minimum of 5 one-credit courses. It is extremely important that athletes do not drop classes without checking with the guidance department. Athletes must also comply with all Ohio high school, Galion, and individual sport regulations and rules. When in doubt, ask a school administrator. Each individual team will or has also had a parent meeting to address more sport-specific questions. You can always reach out to your head coach. Eligibility-wise, we still ask 2 big questions for our athletes. Are you enrolled at Galion, and do you live in the Galion City School District? Answering no to either of those questions doesn't mean you can't play, but it is going to require extra paperwork to be filled out with Ohio High School. The OHSAA website and our Galion Athletic page are great resources for answers to most questions. Please check those out at your convenience. Parents and athletes, please be willing to talk to your head coach privately when you have questions or concerns, not just about eligibility. I am also a resource for you. What happens if an athlete tests positive for COVID-19? Positive COVID tests do continue to require a quarantine following the health department guidelines. The athletic quarantine is 5 days and also requires completing the return to play COVID protocols. John Vitello is our Avita sponsored trainer. He will guide an athlete who tests positive for COVID-19 back safely to action. An athlete who tests positive must also be cleared by a licensed medical provider be returning to action. Again, I'm stressing this is an athlete who tests positive, not someone that's come in contact or someone that's been sick or stayed home. It's only those athletes that have tested positive for COVID, then they would go into the COVID-19 protocols. And this process is very similar to returning from an injury like a concussion. The health and safety of our athletes is always our top priority. Please communicate with John and your coach for any illness or injury. The faster we take action, the sooner our athlete can return to play. Contact tracing may still be used to determine if anyone else must be quarantined. This is being determined on a case-by-case situation at this point. We have learned a lot about minimizing the risk. The biggest areas of concern for our athletes continue to be locker rooms. Again, we're asking our teams to spread out and eliminate unnecessary congregating. Transportation, spread out as much as possible. Water, athletes should always bring water to practice and games. Do not share food or drinks with others. Be smart at home and minimize the risk of exposure. Is the COVID vaccine required? No, we are not required to get the vaccine. The CDC and the governor's office continue to highly recommend the vaccine, but our athletes are not being forced to do that. That is a decision for each family to discuss and make together. What restrictions do fans have at events? We do have to continue to follow the safety guidelines as directed by the Ohio Department of Health. Our game day protocols will match that of the fall as outdoor events. Those attending any event are required to perform a self-assessment test prior to arrival. If you have symptoms, stay home. Those not vaccinated are encouraged to wear face coverings. That is not mandatory. Families are encouraged to social distance as much as possible, and proper hand washing is still the most effective way to combat the spread of the sickness. Please note that not all away venues will use our exact guidelines. Teams and fans must adjust to the away venues' expectations. Mr. Stone, do we have some other questions coming in at this point?
Yes, we do. The one question that we have involves schedules for teams. Just curious when track and some of the other schedules will be posted.
All of the schedules are on our athletic website. If you click on the athletic link schedules, you'll see them through the Arbiter. But I would also expect our coaches to hand out an updated, cleaner version of that at their coaches' meetings. If we have a youngster that wants to come down to the athletic office, we can run a copy too. I would warn you about the schedules that are the free ones around town, the ones we have here in the school. Those were printed back before basketball season. So those of you that are familiar with spring sports, those schedules tend to change quite a bit. And I'll address the weather issue a little bit later. Did that answer the question? Couple other things to remember. Final forms. Athletes and parents must sign all OHSA required papers through final forms. Please make sure to select all the sports you want to play so that your coach has you on their roster. All athletes must get a physical every year. So if you're green in final forms, you're good to go. You can play. We do continue to have year-round athletic code and random drug testing program. Vapes, marijuana, alcohol are major concerns. They are not safe, and using them hurts our athletic performance. A single Juul pod contains as much nicotine as a pack of 20 regular cigarettes. Those are not safe, those pods. Marijuana is known to increase the heart rate while decreasing cardiac stroke volume. This not only puts the athlete at risk, but also diminishes peak performance. Smoking any substance is harmful to your lungs and can reduce the effectiveness of the body's ability to absorb the oxygen needed for optimum sports performance. Marijuana use can slow reaction time and hurt hand-eye coordination. These effects can last 24 to 36 hours after smoking. According to a recent Crawford County survey, 94% of the county students who admitted to being drinkers are involved in extracurricular activities. Think about that for a second. Middle school and high school students in the county were anonymously surveyed. Out of those students who said that they have been intoxicated drinking alcohol, 94% of that group are in extracurricular activities. Parents, please continue to talk to your students. Unfortunately, alcohol use with our students is still a problem. Every time an athlete gets intoxicated, they lose 14 days of training. When an athlete gets intoxicated, their performance potential is lowered by 11.4% before they even start the game. So if your athlete is drinking alcohol, the best they can be during competition is 88.6%. Fan, athlete, and parent behavior matters. Good sportsmanship is something that we pride ourselves with at Galion. Please pause before you yell or make that negative comment. Respect the game and help us model Tiger pride. Cheer for our kids and leave for the officials, coaches, and opposing teams alone. Social media can also really cause our teams unnecessary grief. Please represent our school and community with Tiger pride. Galion High School is an award of excellence school. We are committed to the ideals of education-based athletics. I'd remind everyone participation in extracurricular activities is a privilege, not a right. Mr. Stone, we have anything else coming in?
We do not.
A little bit more on the weather issues with the scheduling. Those of you that have been in spring sports before, you know this, but newcomers, spring sports in Ohio definitely deal with weather challenges. Make sure you get the notifications from your individual coaches, as sometimes things get postponed or canceled at the last second. Our goal is always to try to play safely if we can. Sometimes we do have to move games though. MOAC games are rescheduled, so be prepared to have that schedule adjusted. So a lot of those days we thought we were going to have off, suddenly we have games packed in there. That's typical in the spring. Good news for our track people, or bad news, depending on how you look at it. Track events are rarely canceled. That group almost always just plows through whatever they get that day. So my advice is to pack for all 4 seasons and dress warm and be prepared as you go to track events. Kind of to close tonight, Tiger fans, please remember that together we will continue to get through all additional challenges regardless of the activity. It may not be business as usual. We must all continue to sacrifice individual wants and desires to best serve our kids. We look forward to another fantastic season. Thank you for joining us tonight, and go Tigers.